Next on the agenda is to review the finance committee members on the various committees. We need a new representative for the CIPC. Is there any volunteers? Please, not all at once. I can't hear you.
I would be interested, since I will be, after I give my report for the DPW, but I may have some time for the CIPC.
Okay.
Okay.
Sue, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Irene, do you want to stay on the EDC and the library building committee?
I do.
Okay. Eric? We got Eric, Dan, and me on the Grafton Sustainability Commission. Right now, it's me and Barry. Barry, do you want to continue serving on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to continue on that as well. Dan, do you want to be our alternate? Because we need somebody just in case Barry or I can't do it. Would you like to be the alternate?
Sure.
All right, so Barry and I will continue on the Sustainability Committee. Dan is our alternate.
Yep.
Sue, you want to stay on DPW?
Yes, I will.
Okay. And I think that's it.
Mark,
Yeah, go ahead, Sue.
I just want to say that I will continue being the representative and attending the school committee meetings if everyone so.
Excellent.
Because that was not on here.
No, I wasn't sure if it was officially a.
It's not official committee. It's just usually we
Yes.
send a rep.
I think it's important that we have representation attending the school committee meetings moving forward. So Sue, thank you for doing that.
You're
And
welcome.
what about the select board? I know that one of the things I saw today discussed on social media was people were saying, gee, they would like the select board to be more, in touch with the, with some of the various boards and committees in the town, having representatives kind of the way we do. We don't currently have anybody who's assigned or who has volunteered to regularly attend select board meetings. Do we have somebody who would like to do that? And for those of you who don't know, EDC and library building I can handle, but my job is in flux. I don't know where I'm going to end up. I will not be in Maynard as of June 30th. So until I know where I'm going to be driving to and what nights I might have to attend meetings, in Maynard there were 600 of them.
I think Irene, I agree. I think as chair, I'd like to be the liaison to the select board,
Okay.
if that's okay with the rest of the committee.
It's too bad Colleen's not on the board anymore because she goes to all the meetings
I
anyway.
know.
It would have been a perfect fit.
Yeah, I just wanted people to know why I wasn't, seeming to volunteer
Understood.
for a lot. I really am in flux right now, and I don't want to commit to things that I can't live up to.
No, understood. Understood. All right, so that takes care of that. So the next thing on the agenda is the meeting schedule for
Mark?
oh, go ahead. Yes, Barry?
Capital Improvement Bylaw Committee, is that still functioning? And do we need a rep?
I would
think
assume
it's-
Sue would.
It's not. So that committee ended as of fall town meeting.
Okay.
If there is Matt, is there going to be a move to reinstitute that bylaw moving forward?
That's a good question. There could very well be a, yeah, I don't want to speak on behalf of the board, but I'd like to see a different charge.
Okay, so if that's the case, once that committee gets established by the select board, I would imagine you're going to want representation from the finance committee. So we'll designate somebody at that time once you bring it up. Okay, perfect. Anything else on committee liaisons?
May I give a report for the DPW?
I would love to hear it.
It's been a while since COVID kind of slowed everything down there, but we're almost there. Startup in the testing of mechanical, electrical and plumbing equipment has been completed. The punch list is in the process of being closed out. There will be a few items that will have to be negotiated by the general contractor because over some disagreements over the quality of the work. We're hoping to move in by the end of July or early August, and we are on budget.
That's awesome. So you beat my question. My question was going to be, are we turning any money back or we just made it?
Not. I don't think, well, I can't say that for sure because I missed last week's meeting because I was at the select board's meeting, but we are meeting the 23rd, so I will find out for sure. but I know we're on budget, but if we turn anything back, it'll be a few cents, I think.
Okay, well, at least we weren't over budget. That's the important thing.
Right.
Irene, where are we with the library?
Okay, I also missed the last LBC meeting, but up until that point and reading the minutes of that meeting, and conversing with other members of that board, we got a little bit lucky in that we were able to continue doing the soil removal during COVID because that was having already opened it. We needed to continue doing that to get it closed back up again. And just about as we got it closed back up and we're preparing to shut down, the order came that we could start building again. So we're not as far behind as we would otherwise be. As far as money goes, we are probably going to come in pretty much at budget. There will be some adjustments made for the extra expense occurred in the removal and remediation of the soil. But we do have places where we will cut in order to come in at budget. So not likely to be a turn back, but we're not going to run over. At
That's
least not
important.
as of this time. Yeah.
Let me ask a question, and this is, I'd be curious to hear about. There had been talk that they were waiting to do the parking lot and everything else because of the utilities they wanted to run to the super park.
Right.
But now that that's been defeated by town meeting,
Yeah.
I would imagine the parking lot can just move forward as normal.
I
And there was no
believe
work done.
so, and I will report back after the July meeting.
Okay,
Okay, because I'm sure that will be on the agenda and will be discussed. But yeah, we will now proceed, just for the library. They may do some preliminary work, that would allow for virtually anything to happen in the future. But we're obviously no longer going to be working, quote, in tandem with any sort of a park being planned.
excellent. All right, good. Thank you for that update. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Anything else on liaison or committee reports? Okay, next on the agenda is the meeting schedule for FY21. Obviously, enjoy the summer. We don't have much to do over the summer. We'll get back into full speed for the October town meeting. Do Wednesdays still work as the preferred date for everybody? Obviously, we're going to have 2 new members coming up after the moderator makes those appointments. But do Wednesday nights still work if those are the dates we want to use for our regular meetings?
Fine with me.
At
Yep.
this time, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then we'll continue to do that. So as far as the fall meeting goes, once the select board to date for the fall town meeting, we will figure out our at that time. Maybe we should have a meeting in September just to get together to see what's going on, and we'll take it from there. Is that all right? I'll figure out that
Oh, yeah.
date with
Yeah.
the committee.
Don't we
Okay.
usually meet in August?
Oh, we do.
I was thinking that. I'm like, we don't want to wait that long because we want to kind of get some idea of what's coming up for warrant articles and other things that we may have to
They'll
pay
be
attention
putting out
to.
warrant. They'll be putting out warrants for people to submit. So
Okay,
we
so
usually meet toward the end of August, don't we, Sue?
We do meet in August. Last year we did not.
yeah, I didn't remember meeting in August last.
I did make a list, and I apologize for not sending it to you all. I was going through all the minutes to see. We have a few outstanding subject matters. One of them was OPEB and relative to the debt and financial policy.
I thought we adopted the debt and financial policy. The
We,
debt
We-
policy.
We
The financial policy is done by Finance Committee. We haven't had a reaction to it by the Select Board.
Okay, so we approved the debt policy. I think we signed off on all the financial policies because Sue, I think I remember you were working on that with Matt.
I wrote the OPED piece.
Yep, and so
Right.
that's now in the hands of the select board. So I would ask our 2 new members to put that on an agenda moving forward and let us know what the select board thinks. Is that something that Matthew and Colleen can do for us?
I'm not sure how this works, but maybe somebody could just send a quick memo over to the select board, and I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll end up on an agenda item.
Okay, I'll take that on. I'll send the memo.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Um,
the select board chair is the one that asks for an agenda or sets the agenda.
Yeah, that's right. The other thing is that there may be, and this is just based on some emails between Becca and Tim and I. I'm not sure what it is, but they had identified a couple of things that they may be requesting for reserve fund transfers beyond this date.
Well,
So
I'm sorry to interrupt, Matt, but that's what I was gonna ask, because under the Municipal Modernization Act, the Finance Committee and the Select Board before July 15th can meet and do line item transfers to cover shortfalls in the various articles.
Yep.
Right.
Do we know if there are any, have we heard from the town, Sue, have we heard from the town administrator? Are there line item transfers that need to happen?
According to Becca, and I was in contact with her Monday, there is nothing. Everything was taken care of.
At the town meeting?
Via town meeting, and I asked her if she would like to come in and speak to Finance Committee, and she declined at this time. But she did indicate that the funds were coming in. Some funds were coming in from the CARES Act. And that's when I addressed with her, she wanted to speak to the Finance Committee about that, and she said, no, not at this time. So it looks like the funds are coming in to take care of the expenses, but that's all I have for knowledge. But
Can
as
I
far
ask a
as,
question? Can I ask a question? Why do we ask if they want to come meet with us? Why don't we ask them to come meet with us? They should meet with the Finance Committee when we request them to come meet with us. Am I off on that?
No, I don't think so.
I'm, we're gonna have a different relationship with the Select Board and the Town Administrator's Office moving forward, as long as I'm the chair of this committee. We're not gonna just ask and say, hey, guys, would you like to talk to us? We're gonna request and invite them to come in, and we're gonna insist that they come in and meet with us when we wanna meet with them. We'll work with their schedule, but no more of this. No, we don't have anything to say. We don't wanna come talk to you. We need to make sure going into next year that we get accurate budget numbers moving forward, that we understand exactly what the financial picture is and what the thoughts of the town administrator is moving forward to do the budget. We're not going to play this game anymore. You know, Matt, you were very, very patient. You did a great job getting us through the last budget process, but that has to change moving forward. It does. And I hope the committee supports that, and we'll stand by that moving forward.
I support that, especially now that the override has passed. I think we have to have more frequent communications on our budgets.
Yep.
And what we're going to do moving forward for the several years, and hopefully how we're going to plan things out so we don't have to ask for another override.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the exact same thing. We don't want to have to go back again in 5 years or whatever to ask for more money.
Right.
We need to stop planning now, and we will stop planning now. And I know this committee is ready for that, challenge. And I think the Select Board will work with us moving forward. We'll do long-term projections. We'll try to figure out what we need to do. Now, keep in mind that until we understand what the legislature is going to do with regards to local aid for fiscal year 21, we're sort of in flux right now. You know, we may be forced in a position that we have to dip into the override further than what we thought, because the state aid is going to get cut. I received a memo, and I'm sure this town received the same memo from the DLS, telling us, do not plan on whatever the governor put in the budget. We will not know until September, the earliest, what the legislature is going to do for state aid next year. That's the message that we received from the Division of Local Services just last week. So, you know, communication with the Select Board and the Town Administrator's Office is more crucial now than ever, until we understand exactly what we're going to get for aid moving forward. And so, you know, none of this, we'll get back to you. We're playing with it. We'll deal with it the fall. I think we need to get more involved immediately. So now I'm excited about this August meeting. So let's pick go ahead, Sue.
And I think we need to stay in close communication with Jay, because they're waiting for guidelines as to how they're supposed to open the school, or if they will, and how they're going to go about doing the school year.
That was supposed to come out. That's a good point, Sue. That was supposed to come out today. And the way they're talking about it, I don't think schools have the resources in place right now to deal with what they're going to be requiring, at least some of the stuff that I saw. So you're right. Let's open the communication with both the town administrator's office and the school superintendent to figure out exactly what we need. I'm going to insist that we do not get last minute numbers 2 days before town meeting and have to guess what they are. I want accurate projections as soon as possible. And I hope the Select Board supports us on that.
I agree.
I'm talking to you, Matt and Colleen, just in case you were wondering who I was talking
Thumbs
to.
up, guys.
So go ahead, Barry.
I used to chase the management report and then the revenue report because revenue does not necessarily show up on the management report. I used to ask Anita for that. Who would I ask now?
Well, I understand that they're going to use the consultant
Right.
that was hired to assist Anita in closing in the past. Eric something or other. Do I have that name right, Sue?
No, it's Lisa Kelly.
Lisa Kelly, the accountant, not Lisa Kelly from the Council on Aging. and
That is
Housing Authority.
correct.
Okay.
Right.
And
Lisa Kelly with
everything-
one E.
Any
With one E, okay.
information,
Not the cool Lisa Kelly.
requested,
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Any information that's requested from the accounting office at this point, it goes through the email accounting@grafton-ma.gov.
Hey, Barry, would you mind sending an email to that address asking for what the report that you want?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Barry.
That's
So
what I'm gonna do.
I believe she's the assistant town clerk, or she's the assistant to the town clerk, is Tina Abdi.
Yes.
She's the assistant to the town accountant.
Excuse me,
Yes.
town accountant.
Yes.
She is about to have a baby.
Yeah.
So that's why everything goes through accounting now, so that it is received,
Okay.
okay?
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
on that, does anyone have a flavor to review town auditing, or is there, how close are we to the receiving a report from the sustainability committee?
Well, I can update you on that. We're meeting tomorrow night to go over the first report from the committee, the benchmarking report. So once that gets signed off, I'm sure that's going to go to the select board for their review and then hopefully to us. So we should be getting that soon. I would hold off on any financial reports until the audit is done, and that's not going to be until the fall. Right now, I think what Barry's asking for in terms of revenue for fiscal year 21, as soon as the books close in July, I would like to get that revenue report for our August meeting, just to see where we are, because that'll give us a good indication of what free cash is going to be. Go ahead, Sue.
It will be late this year. They are moving everything way into July to
Yep.
close the FY20, and obviously several people are missing at
Yep.
this point.
Nope, I understand. You know, with Anita leaving, that puts the everything in flux right now. So I was going to suggest August 26th for our August meeting. That way we can give them, you know, the month of July and August to try to get as much information to us as possible. And hopefully the select board will have figured out the date for the October town meeting at that time. And
We
maybe
have-
we'll have a better
we have
handle
a
on the, oh, we already have a date?
October 19.
Okay.
And
Well,
that's the date that's set in bylaw, but
Bylaw.
just
They
in
can
case
change
there's a
it.
COVID issue.
Yeah, they can change it. I know what I'm dealing with in Groton. As a matter of fact, I have that. Our town meeting is supposed to be on October 19th. But I'm going to suggest to the select board that we push it off a while until we get a better handle on state issues. So we'll see what happens with this town moving forward, because everything is such in flux with everything moving forward. I think we need to wait for a while. But I think August 26th makes sense to have the meeting that date. Is that
Yeah.
fine with everybody?
That's good with me.
And then at that meeting, we'll put on the agenda to pick our meeting schedule to deal with the fall town meeting warrant. I would also like at that meeting for us to start talking about how we want to approach the fiscal year 21 or 22 budget process. At least, hopefully the select board will be putting that on their agendas and they'll be talking about the process moving forward. And I want to partner with the select board and work hand in hand with them moving forward. And hopefully we won't be accused of having any, I'll keep my thoughts to myself. I apologize. Okay, August 26th is the next meeting. Any other issues on, go ahead, Sue.
I just wanted to ask Mark if you would talk to Tim and
Yep.
see how we're going to work out replacing Sue.
Oh yeah, that's the next, I was going to get to that on the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
Yep,
ahead.
no, that's fine. That's coming up in a second, under position advertising.
Okay.
So we will definitely get to that because we need to get somebody to replace Sue.
Right.
You're not planning on moving back, are you? No? Okay.
No, I'm not.
I had to ask.
As
What if
long
we give
as
you a
our
really nice raise?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, whatever the wishes are of the board is how I will proceed. I will,
Well, I'd like you
I
to stay
really
until we have a
would love,
replacement.
go ahead, Mark.
I'd like you to stay until we have a replacement. I hope you're willing to do that.
I am, as long as we can work remotely. It really, as Dan
Well,
said,
it's
I'm ready to raise. And I'm not looking for that. In order to, I can't come and go overnight. And the COVID has, the situation, actually, prior to all this, I actually, looked at Airbnbs for a quick overnight, that type of thing. Not very comfortable right now with, having that situation.
That makes sense.
And, but if I can work remotely, and I certainly will be into the town hall this summer to clean up a couple of the files and things of that matter. But I really would like to work, according to everyone's wishes.
Well, what I would like, if I may, is to keep you on board until we find a replacement, and then have a crossover period where you can help train and teach the new person our procedure moving forward.
I would love
So,
that.
good.
If y'all like that, I would
Oh, I
like.
absolutely do. Does anybody object to that process?
Or no?
No, I
Okay.
mean, that's what they're doing for Dan Gale. Dan Gale's on kind of like retainer for a full year
Right.
with Anita. So
That's right. That's right. That's a good
we
point.
won't hold you to a year, Sue, maybe.
Well, it is what it is. It really is. It's a situation that is just a little bit unique, but yet my job, someone may come on and pick it right up and, get it done lickety split, better than I did. So
I doubt
it's
it.
really just a question of navigating through my process for 33 years. I think that says kind of a crazy amount of navigating.
It's a-
It's like
There's a
reading
lot of
someone else's, spreadsheet, in my
agree.
opinion.
Go ahead, Barry.
Do we need to allocate funds for the overlapping period?
We will probably need to take care of that once that person comes on board and we understand what we're going to pay them, and then we'll address it either through a reserve fund transfer or a line item transfer at town meeting to increase that budget. So we'll have to figure that out, Barry. But that's a very, very good question.
Actually,
I'm
it-
very happy that our reserve fund is back up to 75,000 now that the override passed. I was nervous.
Actually, hires and interviews and all that for the position?
That's what I'll reach out to Tim and ask him how he's going to go about filling that position. And I would like to have participation from this committee in the hiring process. I think we should have somewhat of a say on who we hire. Hopefully he'll allow it. It's his appointment, but hopefully he'll allow input from us moving forward. So we will ask respectfully that he allow a couple of our members to participate in the hiring process. Do I have any volunteers when I reach out to him?
Well, I was
Anybody
going
like
to
to do
point out to Sue that you're going to upstate New York, and I understand it snows like starting in August. It doesn't end until June.
Barry, I'm only 2.5 hours away. I'm literally right
That's-
at the end of the Mass Pike.
No.
Yeah, I want to caution you, Sue, not to call it upstate New York around the locals, because they're
That's
going to
right.
get offended. They're going to say, no, we're mid-state New York.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm not that far.
I went to school in Albany, so I know
there you
it's
go.
it's a sore subject.
Oh, because anything north of New York City is considered upstate New York. Is that what you're saying, Dan?
My mom's from Long Island, so that's what she says.
Exactly, Long Island. Exactly.
All right, we'll get to that in a second. But the next thing on the agenda is outstanding topics, the BVT budget. Now, Matt, if I may ask you, that was something that you wanted to pursue. Do you want to fill us in on where you left off on that, and the committee can decide if we want to pursue it further?
I just had an initial discussion with the chair of the finance committee in Millbury, and they had similar thoughts to Grafton in terms of we should be asking for, basically reaching out to other towns, seeing what's possible in terms of asking them for budget reduction as we look forward to, everybody's going to be getting cuts from the state coming up in FY21. So yeah, it was just basically an informal discussion. So you guys will
What's-
take it forth as you will.
What's the pleasure of the committee?
It's a fine idea. I think we need to just have that discussion.
So should we consider sending a memo or email or something to the chairs of the finance committee in the, 13 towns?
13
Yes.
towns, yes.
Yep.
In the 13 towns, and ask them if they would like to get together and have a meeting to talk about BVT moving forward and see if there's any interest?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Matt, can I lean on you and ask you to help me draft that to get that out and who to contact? Would you mind helping me?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Matt.
Wouldn't we need to talk to the town rep from each town on the BVT board?
Anthony Yates is our representative.
Well, you know something, that's a very good point, Barry. So do we start off asking Anthony to,
Technically, Dr. Mike has always told us that Anthony is the representative of 13 towns, not Grafton. Because all their representatives represent 13 towns. They're not specifically representing one specific town,
so they're the 13 members of the school committee that oversees the entire
right.
district, is what
right.
you're saying?
Right. So they work for the district. They don't work for the individual town.
And so we've had joint meetings with the finance committees before, and that's a long time ago. And so I probably think that they would be more than happy, since they're all in the same boat as we are, that they would enjoy getting together and having this discussion and see what we can come up with.
Okay. All right. I'll work with Matt. I'll try to come up with something, and then I'll reach out to the finance committees and the other communities, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah,
See if we
Mark,
get a positive.
one
Go ahead,
suggestion-
Irene.
One suggestion would be to, once you've done that, and reach out to the BVT school committee, would be to have a subcommittee, made up of members of, a couple of the finance committees, not necessarily all 13, with a couple of the, BVT school committee members, so you not have 26 people. That's kind of unwieldy. So create a subcommittee that meets about the budget.
Okay. All right. Let's reach out and see if there's any desire to do it. Thank you, Matt, for being willing to help me. Next on the agenda is the review of the finance committee manual and the job description of our assistant. I have to tell you, I'm not familiar with this particular subject. Who is working on that?
Pretty much, I was working on it, and Barry, and I think how we had left it last fall was that we needed a better job description for it. And I reviewed the manual today. I have to say it's pretty good.
So we don't need to do anything with the manual, but what about the job description for your position?
The job description, the file happens to be at the town hall, but we had a job description that we actually didn't review as a finance committee that came from Westboro. And I tried to find it today online and I could not locate it. But it basically, finance committee had a brief discussion about it, and it didn't list what we listed, which was kind of proficient in municipal mannerisms or law, but mostly proficient in Word and Excel is really what needs to be done, and excellent communication skills, because I would have to say that's really key. Not just for a finance committee as the person is working with the finance committee, but to talk to people in the administrator's office, the select board's office, town clerk's office.
But you're our liaison to everybody. I mean, this position coordinates everything that we do. So I think you're right. Communication skills is very important. Let me ask you a question. Is it possible to get a copy of that job description?
I'm
Maybe
hoping
when
so.
well, maybe
can
when I
call.
write to maybe I got to send 2 memos tomorrow. Or
Yeah.
whenever. I got to send a memo to the select board asking where we are on the policies that the finance committee approved, asking if they're going to approve them. And then the second thing is to the town administrator asking how he's going to go about filling Sue's position. And I think I'm going to ask him to give us a copy of the job description and ask him to provide us with a process and allow a couple of our members to participate in the interview process.
Okay.
So is that okay with everybody if I do that?
So Mark, Tim did reach out to me and asked me if I had chosen a date to retire. And I let him know that we were going to talk about it this evening.
Okay, so in my memo to him, and committee, tell me if you have a problem with this. I will say that the finance committee would like Sue to stay on remotely until we find a replacement. And I have not seen any direction from the state on when we're going to start meeting in person again. So as long as we're remote, we should be okay keeping Sue on remotely. And then you would retire, if you'd be willing, once we get your replacement on board after a short transition period.
Yes.
Is the committee okay with that?
Yes.
The transition period might not be short, though.
That's true. That's true. All right, we'll figure that part out.
Especially if you haven't done this kind of exercise before.
I would think that that the replacement would have to stay through the October meeting. I think Sue would have to be with her through the October, at least one meeting at minimum, just so she can kind of understand, or he, who knows,
Yes.
what, like what the.
That's kind of where I was going to, is to
Okay.
basically give the person, the support. I'm not in a hurry. I don't think, with the pandemic still being, on the rise or not, it's still influencing all of our lives. I'm available. I'm even available by phone.
We appreciate your willingness to help us through the transition.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity.
Well,
it's
can you do me
easier
a
for
favor?
me.
Would you be willing to reapply for your position?
Remotely, yes.
Okay, so that's the so that's the position transition. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Barry.
I just observed Colleen and Matt looked so happy. It's like they're sitting there saying, I don't have to deal with this anymore. I'm going to the August Select Board. Everything will be cool. I'm so happy.
Oh, they better deal with this.
Colleen, I'll let you ask the question.
Okay, Heather, what Jamaican?
No. For the seniors.
Oh, nice. I've been trying to figure it out. That's why we look happy.
That's why Heather's so good, because she can multitask.
I do
Right?
yes.
Amazing.
Yeah. I can't say no. So I do, as Sue knows, I'm doing all the gifts for the seniors.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great.
Graduation's in what, 2 weeks?
No, July 19th. So
3 weeks, 3 or 4
3
weeks.
weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. But I did get it changed to nighttime, because I told Jim Pignataro that there's no way that you can have over 900 people sitting on that field at 11 a.m.
Wow.
Especially after what we said, especially after
Good
what
for
happened.
you.
I was there at 8:30, and by 9:30 I was sweating in my beachwear, as you all like to say, and under a tent. So I said, there's no way you can have 900 people.
Well, that turf that heats up. We were like, slowly.
It's like 100 degrees on the turf.
It was
So
hot.
they said they would change it. So it's at 7 p.m. now.
Nice. Good job. All right. Anything else that we need to discuss this evening? Okay, so August 26th will be our next meeting. I will report back to you once I hear back from the town administrator on the process to fill Sue's position. And hopefully we will be very, very excited working with the new select board, town administrator and the assistant town administrators. We tackle the fiscal year 22 budget. So
Mark,
I'm really excited. Go ahead, Matt.
I can't wait to change that relationship. I'm
excited.
really excited.
That makes two of us. I think that makes 10 of us on this meeting right now.
Yeah.
That's excited about that. I'm really happy. I could not be happier with the outcome. Go ahead, Barry.
Shouldn't the 241,000 that was freed up, shouldn't that like help things a little bit?
For the school department?
Well, the $241,000 was clawed back from a
CPC
previous
money.
allocation.
Oh,
It's a
the
$250,000.
CPC. Yeah, that,
Not CPC.
no, I'm sorry, CPIC. It's in the municipal capital stabilization budget because we had to do 2 citizen petition articles to make sure we got that right. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And I believe that account might have actually had some money in it already. I think, don't quote me, but somewhere around $100,000 might have already been in that account. So that account should have a healthy balance.
So that money can be used to maybe offset any loss in state aid. So
You
we
got
don't
it.
have to dip into the override.
You
That's a
got
good
it.
point, Barry. That's a very good point.
Oh, that's
Next
Colleen.
Wednesday, we put
Yep.
like 100,000 in that account, maybe 130,000. But
Yeah,
finally,
130 sounds.
That's about right.
we
That's
have
awesome.
for capital estate, capital.
That's close to $400,000 in that account.
Yep.
And, they're talking about a $400,000 reduction in state aid
Yep. There it
for
is.
1 year. So that'd be a very, very good transition.
Yep.
Because, I think our goal moving forward has to be to keep the override forever, for as long as possible, and
Right.
figure out a way to make that happen.
Could not agree
so-
more.
Yeah, so that's, I think we need to start, and I'm hoping the select board agrees with us, that we need to start the budget process at the same time the school department starts. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Jay start the budget process in August last year?
He does.
Okay, so I would like to see us, maybe August is a little too early because there's a lot of unknowns for fiscal 21 as it is. But there's no reason why we can't start by late September, early October, starting that budget process.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
you can
and-
ask the departments. It's not like,
Yes.
I mean, you can ask them what they want starting in August and what they think they
Good
need.
point.
And
I
it-
don't
Good
think
point.
that doesn't, yeah, I mean, that's how you start early, is kind of getting together with all your department heads.
Exactly. The earlier the better. Go ahead, Sue.
In the last couple of years, Becca had been requesting the department heads to submit their requests for the next fiscal year, right the week after town meeting. So that was the middle to end of October. And that began an earlier process, which to me was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but nothing happened with it.
Well, this year it kind of turned into mush. Everything just fell apart. There's not a doubt about it. But I would say the previous year was not a bad situation. It was an opportunity to move forward, but it didn't keep up the pace this year.
All the
Barry?
departments
Oh,
will
go ahead. I'm sorry. Barry had his hand up first, Sue. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Barry.
What happens to the Capital Summit?
A capital what?
Summit. This was an offsite, I believe, that Tim organized with all his department heads, and he said, okay, what do you need? What do you need? What do you, doesn't mean they get it, but at least he had a list.
Okay.
That's similar to what the schools do, in that people like LeMay and Kalo, they say they can pretty much forecast. These are all of the things that we might need. That's where they start. So, LeMay would say, well, we need this floor over here in South Grafton. We need a roof over in North Grafton, blah, blah, blah. And then they start to winnow that stuff down. But at least they produce all of that stuff in the summer.
Well, hopefully the town administrator will do that again this year.
Be good.
But you should start the budget process too. Sue Robbins, you had a question?
Yes, I just wanted to emphasize a point that we really need to, when we're thinking about this override, to extend it as far as we can, because this override passed by a slim margin. It didn't pass by a big number. It passed like about 100 votes, I think.
99.
99, thank you. And so, I mean, we have to really be astute about these numbers and our budgeting over the next several years, so we can extend this out as far as we can, because we can't afford to fail the community.
Yeah, you know, the fact that and this is because of the work that was done by the Yes Grafton Committee, especially Elizabeth Spinney, the fact that in a pandemic, the town was willing to raise taxes is just is amazing. And we can't let the community down moving forward. We have to take what they did and make sure we institute policies, practices, and procedures, especially budget policies, that really make it look like we never have to go for an override again. And I know that's not easy, but I think that's the focus, and we need to start now,
Yep.
not 4 years from now. Go ahead, Barry.
Can we borrow against 8 Pine Street?
What do you mean borrow against? The only time you can borrow for operating expenses is if you have revenue anticipation or tax anticipation notes, because tax bills went out late or whatever. You can't borrow against future revenue to fund an operating budget. You can only do tax anticipation notes because the tax bills went out late, you have a revenue shortfall.
Okay.
So the answer to your question is no. Yes, Sue.
So Mark, on the Colleen's article, was the money was to go to the Municipal Capital Stabilization Fund, correct?
Yes.
Yes. The
So
second article.
Yes. So if Finance Committee, or if the town decides to use that to offset that 400 state aid situation, is that a warrant? That's a warrant article, is it
Oh,
not?
yeah, you would have to appropriate, only town meeting can appropriate funds out of any reserve account, like the stabilization fund, free cash, capital stabilization fund, whatever. Only town meeting. Town meeting is the appropriating authority. And they
So
would have to vote.
also, so then there's that one, and then there's the Article 18, that was a double appropriation.
Well, yeah, so now you have, in the town meeting got so confused, and I apologize for not jumping up and trying to explain it. I thought Matt did a good job. They still didn't understand it. There's $102,000 now sitting in an article that is no longer needed because the override passed, and that $102,000 now is in the fire department budget. So now you have this warrant article sitting there. And I think the first thing we need to do is rescind that appropriation.
Yeah.
Right away, get that money returned back to free cash. That's why the Finance Committee didn't want that article to pass.
Well, it doesn't have to go to free cash. It can be moved to the stabilization fund.
Well, it came from free cash. I would just assume
Yes.
rescind the appropriation, have it go back to
Right.
where it came from.
Where-
That logic to double appropriate that made no sense to me whatsoever. No
Right.
sense.
We need
By
to
the way, the
make
Capital
sure-
Summit last year, thanks to our crackerjack former researcher, was on July 22nd last summer. So I assume they're going to probably do that again this year.
I thought
around
that
that.
wasn't well attended. Was that not well attended?
I would not assume that, Mark. That happens, I think the last time that happened was it was quite a few years ago. That's not something that happens every year.
Okay. So last year was an odd year that happened?
So just to speak on that, I think last year that thing I sent you,
Yep.
that was open to the public to all come, and that wasn't really well attended. Not all the department heads were there. There were a few, but I think what Barry was talking about is something that happens yearly. There is this like capital meeting where isn't open to the public, where we don't all go, and they spend all day talking about their needs. And I think this capital summit was a summary of that.
Oh, I
Uh,
gotcha.
So
It
I
was
don't
presented to
know
the
when
public?
right. I don't know when that other one happens. I've never been invited to it.
But the point is there's no reason why the budget process can't start earlier. Regardless if it was a capital summit or just a regular discussion, I mean, I think the first thing we need to do is look at long-term projections and determine, here's the override, here's what our long-term thought process is. What can we do to extend this further? And what policies can we put in place and practices do we put in place? And I think a top to bottom review of the budget in every position on both the school side and the town side needs to take place. And there has to be a thoughtful process moving forward. And that should start sooner rather than later. Sue Fiacco, you had a question?
Is there a CIPC? What happened last year, Matt?
Yep, there is this, well, Colleen, you're the chair.
So there is a CIPC. We last met with the select board in December, and where we kind of left it was too late to do anything for FY21. We still hadn't gotten any information yet, so we were kind of off the hook to make any recommendations or come up with a plan. But then it was trying to get the ball rolling and meeting so we could get a plan going forward for FY22. We tried meeting once or twice in January and February. We couldn't get a quorum. And then COVID hit and we haven't really done much, but we have had during COVID had 2 more people appointed to CIPC. So I think it looks like it's trending positively, but they have not met probably since December.
I would,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Sue.
Say
Sorry.
the chair.
yeah, I would like to see that CIPC get back to following the charter so that they will have their list in and so that we will have that capital list by February, the finance committee. And there isn't any reason why the CPC can't start their process in August either, the CIPC, and get a list from the departments of their capital needs and everything else and prioritize them and have them ready.
I agree 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Sue.
Colleen, are you remaining the chair?
I don't know if I can remain the chair.
Okay.
I think maybe if I am lucky enough to stay on as a select board representative, I might stay on there in that capacity, but we'll see.
Thank you.
And also,
Yes.
Mark, when you talk to, oh, sorry, can I
Go ahead,
speak?
go ahead, Heather. No, go right ahead. We're very informal here.
In between my arts and crafts, when you talk to Tim, and I have been saying this for like 11 years now, when they go to do their budgets, they really need to look at prior year, because I know a lot of them don't want to lose their budget, but half the stuff that they have on there, they don't need. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but they don't do trends. Like they don't look at like what they've used every year. They just, if they had $1,000 in supplies, and they're just going to put $1,000 this year, even if they've only used 500 last year or the past 3. And I know it's small dollars, but it's frustrating to me that they don't even put like a half hour into their budgets half the time. I mean, I know a lot of it's spent on the payroll, but again, I don't even know that they do that. I think that's more of a Tim thing, because he does the steps and all that.
I agree with you 100%. Last summer in my town, we were faced with something similar to what Grafton was going through. And we appointed a tri-board made up of representation from the school district, the select board, and the finance committee. And we literally met all summer long and we looked at trends. We looked at what budgets had been spent in the past, and then we built 3 years worth of budgets in the future to determine how to move forward. I agree with you 100%. That's the type of analysis you need to do, and you need to plan for when the bad years are going to be and how you're going to address that. Now, there are some good things that could happen in Grafton over the next couple of years. The marijuana revenue hopefully will through. You still have some construction that may happen. You have that Pine Street that Barry was talking about. All that can be factored, but you can't count on any of that until it's actually in the ground and accounted for. You can't just guess and say, oh, by the way, I'm going to say we're going to get $1 million worth of growth this year, and therefore we don't have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not in the pipeline until it's in the pipeline. And we have to be very careful moving forward. We have to make sure we plan for it appropriately. So that I think that's the type of analysis we need to do. So I'm with you 100%, Heather. And I would like to work with the town administrator moving forward and having those types of discussions. I'm hoping that we see more of the town administrator moving forward in terms of our meetings. We don't have to meet with him all the time, but it would be nice to have discussions before the budget starts to talk about policies, priorities, what the thought process is moving forward. Have Jay and Tim at the table with us so that we can have that discussion. And maybe a couple of members of the select board talk about these things so that we can figure out where we are going forward. I want to get away from the, don't worry about it, he'll solve the problem, he'll shake the couch and the nickels will fall out. We can't continue to proceed that way. We've got to do planning, and I think I'm hoping the select board takes that on and allows that to happen. Yes, Sue?
I totally agree with you, Mark, and I think it's critical that we do that planning now because of the pandemic and the state revenues and what they're looking at. So, I mean, we have to be, it's really critical now more than ever for us to plan this way.
100%. Absolutely. And I think we're going to get support from the select board.
Well,
No, I don't think there's any question that we're going to get support. Again, Colleen and Matt, we're talking to you as we're doing this. Okay, anything else?
I did have a question.
Go ahead, Sue.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
8 Pine Street, Barry brought it, when Barry mentioned 8 Pine Street, it came to my mind. So there was always this crazy little discussion or comments that the funds from 8 Pine Street would offset stabilization fund use. Now, stabilization fund use was no longer needed to balance the budget. So do you folks have an idea where those funds would land? I know it's premature.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. We don't know where those funds will land. We don't know how much of those funds will be. And I don't want to assume anything until I have a building permit pulled and I have a site plan before the planning board and shovels in the ground and an approved project. It's nice to estimate, it's nice to assume, but until that project is started, we have to get away from oh, we have the money, it's going to come. Don't worry, UPS is going to build. I got on the finance committee 3 years ago and UPS was going to build. Have they built anything yet?
No.
So I want to get away from that. And I think we need to start doing better planning and be as conservative as possible. That's how we're going to get our bond rating to AAA, by being conservative, by making sure our financial policies are in place, by building our reserves, and by doing legitimate forecasting, 5-year forecasting on our budget. That's what we need to do. And I hope the finance committee and the select board can get together and make that happen.
And I'm going to add to that, the other way to get a AAA bond is they will come and do site visits.
Yep.
And you are going to have to convince them that you have a good working relationship between and among the boards and committees. Absent that, you are not getting that AAA rating.
Management is a huge part of the review. And if you guys look at any bond rating agency, they talk about management. And Irene, you are spot on, 100% spot on. We need to change the dynamic. I'm hoping to have a better relationship with the schools, and I hope the select board gets away from the schools get this and the schools get that. We need to do this and we need to do that. And why are we giving all the money to the schools? They are a department. They're like the police department. They're like the fire department. They're like the town accountant. They're part of the overall organization, and we need to work cooperatively with them. I will tell you this, and I said this to the chair of the school committee the other day. The budget that Jay Cummings puts together is the best budget I've ever seen in 35 years of municipal government from a school department, in terms of information, in terms of backup information, in terms of knowing where every penny goes. We should be applauding that budget instead of attacking that budget.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get off my soapbox. That's it. I got to stop talking. You guys are going to regret making me, well, never mind. Anything else? All right, I accept the motion to adjourn.
So
A
moved.
motion to adjourn.
Second, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Barry,
Yes.
Heather,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Dan,
I
Mark, aye. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.
See you in August.